Welcome back to These Things Are Written for this Tuesday. As we continue with our reading, we left off with Paul being held on trial before Felix. He just gave his rebuttal to the Jewish accusations, and he is now waiting for judgment, and we pick up there, Acts 24, verse 22. But Felix, having a rather acute knowledge of the way, put them off, saying, "When Lysias, the tribune, comes down, I will decide the case." Then he gave orders to the centurion that he should be kept in custody, but have some liberty, and that none of his friends should be prevented from attending to his needs. And after some days, Felix came with his wife Drusilla, who was Jewish, and he sent for Paul and heard him speak about faith in Christ Jesus. And he reasoned about righteousness and self-control and the coming judgment. Felix was alarmed and said, "Go away for the present. When I get an opportunity, I will summon you." At the same time, he hoped that money would be given him by Paul, so he sent for him often and conversed with him. But when 2 years had elapsed, Felix was succeeded by Porcius Festus, and desiring to do the Jews a favor, Felix left Paul in prison. Felix decided to delay judgment. Why? Well, he said he wanted more info from Lysias the tribune, but he did nothing to get it, and it shows that he did nothing to receive it. So what are some of the other possibilities that perhaps he was looking at? Well, maybe others was that, he was afraid of the Jews, afraid of rebellion that it would bring. Maybe he didn't want to have to deal with the Jewish problem. Maybe he had heard what had happened with Pilate and how they had held things over Pilate until Pilate did things that he didn't want to have to do. Regardless, maybe that was one of the reasons, or maybe he wanted to learn more. He called for Paul, and he asked them to teach him, which he did often. The first time he spoke, it says that he reasoned about righteousness and self-control and the coming judgment. He spoke to them about the truth. You see, Paul wasn't scared to do the difficult things. I'm guessing he knew to speak about those things, righteousness and self-control, because like many Romans, most likely Felix had an issue with the idea of righteousness and of self-control. And the idea of the coming judgment alarmed Felix. He sent him away, but yet called him back often. Maybe the other reason was he was simply waiting for a bribe. He kept asking and for him to come, maybe hoping he would receive a bribe this time. We might think that was kind of strange, but that was pretty common back in those days. Bribery was not, the Roman officials were not above bribery. In fact, that happened often. Paul was under house arrest. It says that he was given some freedoms. Most likely he wasn't fully shackled the whole time to a guard, but had someone there. I would say it was more of a house arrest. His friends could come visit. He wasn't free to leave the area, but he could have guests and some freedoms. But after 2 years, Festus relieved Felix. Maybe Paul was hoping that he would be released as well, but he was left in prison because Felix decided to offer a favor to the Jews. After all, it was expedient for him to do so that he would have a good report on how he did his job in Caesarea. The take-home point, I think, for this is, even in difficult situations, God is at work. Even though it wasn't the result that Paul wanted, God was at work with him continuing to be able to share to Felix, continue to share what God had done for him, and to hopefully that Felix or his wife Drusilla might come into the faith and know who Jesus was. But know this, God was at work at all things, as we would see in the reading coming up. Stay tuned as we see how Festus deals with Paul in this issue tomorrow and in the rest of the week. Go in peace. We'll see you tomorrow.